Right, what is?
Building code adoption.
All right, are we ready?
Yes.
It's recording. You're good.
Thank you. It is 6:04 p.m. We will start our work session. We have one topic on our work session agenda this evening, and that is the process relating to the 2024 building codes. With Brian Scott.
Thank you, Mayor. Last month, I had the pleasure of introducing to you our new city planner, Taylor Cunningham. This evening, I have the pleasure of introducing our new building official, Mr. Courtney Pelton. That's it. So we are very fortunate. Courtney has a long, extensive history with building codes and construction industry. We started with the city of Wichita in 1996 as a equipment operator 1 and 2 in the public works department, and has worked his way up to become, retired, the assistant director and building official for the metropolitan area building and construction department, which is a combined building department for the city of Wichita and Sedgwick County. They provide all the plan review, building inspection services for the entire county, as well as the city of Wichita. Important was very instrumental in that department as the assistant director of the building division. He retired in 2022 and moved up to the Kansas City area with his wife, to be closer to his wife and grandchild. And shortly thereafter took a job with the city of Kansas City, Missouri. Special divisions, permit divisions, senior engineering and permit tech. And we picked him up about 6 months ago. So I looked at his resume and thought, that's the guy. He's got lots of experience and we need that. So we wanted to talk with you tonight about the adoption of the 2024 building codes. So those codes were released about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. All the building officials in Johnson County meeting on a monthly basis to kind of review the codes and discuss what changes or amendments they may want to make and kind of the process they want to take. Courtney's been involved in that process. I kind of got plugged in as soon as he started with us back in April. And so he can talk a little bit more about what he's learned through that process and some of the other cities are doing, you know, what we're going to do for ourselves. So, Courtney?
Hopefully I won't put you to sleep. Again, my name is Courtney Fellow. I'm your new building official. Been married 34 years. We moved up here with my daughter and her friend. And it's been a really joy.
And now you have 2 granddaughters.
And I have 2 granddaughters and I'm more work. So currently, we're in the 2018 family of ICC codes. Our goal is, our desire is to move forward to the adoption of the 2024 edition of the International Code Council codes. Regards to building, but not just those codes, that family of codes. We also are looking to adopt the 2023 edition of the National Electrical Code and the 2017 edition of the ANSI standards, or the A117.1 accessibility and usable building standards. So that's the ADA requirements for disabilities. So by adopting those as well as the rental codes, so we want to try to adopt all these and bring them up to date. Just to get a little background, it's always nice. Some of you may have a grasp on the codes, but the International Code Council is a nonprofit organization. So it's both a private and public entities that work together to build a code that is not only updated, but it's develops with regard to the building as they can continue to progress in construction. So you have local and state governments, county, and then also you have the private sectors like contractors, engineers, homeowners, home builders, and architects. So them working together has enabled us to have a code that really does benefit you and I. And so that gives us a little background. Also, when we adopt the whole family of codes, it's because they complement one another. And that really is beneficial for the city of Mission, because not only do we try to do that, but also the other jurisdictions surrounding our city try to do it. So by working together, it really does mirror the other jurisdictions and how they not only adopt the codes, but also implement the enforcement, which is nice. One of the things that's unique about the code cycles is they're every 3 years. So, for example, in Wichita, we had the 2006 code. But then we skipped a code cycle and went to the 2012. We skipped another code cycle and went to 2018. And then they skipped the code cycle now and they're moving to 24. The reason, a lot of times the reason for that is, it's because the amount of time it takes to vet each trade, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, research it, review it, and then have stakeholders come in and sit down, it takes time. And so a lot of times, the years go by, and before you know it, you're in a whole other code cycle. For example, the state of Kansas is in the 2006 code. Still. So hopefully they can move forward with all the other jurisdictions. But so that's why when we're looking at the 2024 code as a family of codes, it really is beneficial for our city. I just wanted to bring that up. Something that's nice about that, it's 13 different codes, but they all work together, which means that one doesn't contradict another. They all seem to just meld, and that's what we want to do. We want to meld with our different trades, manufacturers, architects, engineers. We want to meld with our homeowners and our builders, so that when they build the construction of a commercial or residential structure, it's seamless. Of course, it's not seamless because different builders provide different qualities. But as a general whole, we provide a minimum code standard for life safety. So that provides us some of the benefits here. And Brian mentioned it earlier. For the last year and a half, the building officials have been meeting together each month to discuss the codes, including the energy code. And as they've gone through these codes, they are able to pick out different significant changes in the code. And so just as an example, this one book is the significant changes for the 2024 International Residential. So we have commercial, plumbing, mechanical, electrical, ADA, everything. So each one of the books that we have help us to do that. The only code book, only significant change book that we don't have yet is for the International Energy Code. And so we're looking to get that as well so that we can provide you the best information. So we're planning on moving forward as a city to adopt these codes with very few amendments. If there's any amendments, usually it's an administration, where in the code books, they say code official. And of course, it's a building official that we building code official. So it'll adopt different things. Maybe the verbiage has changed a little bit. There are some amendments that we've already adopted in the past that we'll reconsider to see if they're applicable. And then if they are, then we will try to move forward with those as well. So I know this is a long list, but I'm going to read them to you so you know. So we have the International Building Code, International Fire Code, International Residential Code, the International Plumbing Code, Mechanical Code, Fuel Gas Code, Existing Building Code, Energy Conservation Code, Property Maintenance, Swimming Pool and Spa, National Electrical Code, and of course, the ADA Accessible and Usable Building Standards, and then the rental. So all of those we were wanting to move forward with for adoption. So once we've completed the drafts and amendments, then we're gonna convene a meeting with our stakeholders. Maybe have a workshop to really have them visit with us, because 2 days ago, I had Kansas Gas call me. And they asked me if they could visit with us, which is not uncommon, but so late in the game, this is it's very important that we visit with them forward, so that anything in the fuel gas code that might be questionable for the whole state of Kansas, we want to know their feelings. So we're gonna visit with them, set up a meeting with them, and then hopefully we can set up a meeting with all the stakeholders that, and invite them here so that we can visit. Then once we've done that, we've got their input, then we'll provide a draft for you, council and mayor, and we'll present it as a final set of codes for the city commission. So that's our design, that's our idea, and I'll stand for any questions.
Questions, Kathy?
Yes,
Do we have any city-owned buildings that currently are not in compliance with the state, the ADA standard?
can I say, I can't lie.
Yes, we do.
Yes, ma'am, we do.
Just one. Just one.
I haven't visited all, since I've been here, I haven't had an opportunity to visit all, but I can do that as part of my job. I can go and look at all the different ones. Because that is an important topic to discuss.
But I think we have a hard time pressing, creating a standard, and we don't live up to the standard, but.
Well, that's always gonna be the case with old construction, right? It's not gonna be many of the new codes, right? And so unless you trigger that with substantial renovations for whatever the standard is.
In the state of Kansas, it has been affected, cities have been affected by it. Wichita was affected, I know Johnson County's been affected, and they adjust and they conform and work at getting these older buildings to up to code. Because there's a minimum standard, so it's not the whole building, usually it's a percentage.
Yeah, woman?
That was my question, so I gather from your conversation that there's no grandfather in it, that they either meet the code. Or do something to meet the code.
Well, this code here, the ANSI standards 117.1, it's in the ICC codes, but it all referenced the American Disabilities Act. And so that's been in effect for some time, and that you have to comply with.
No, but for a new build or new construction or
Yes, for new
renovation,
build, new
for
construction.
existing buildings, you would be grandfathered unless you were doing a significant renovation. And the exception to that is public buildings. So public buildings, if someone brings forward an issue or a concern, which is I'm guessing what Courtney was referencing happened in Wichita and Sedgwick County, there is an obligation to try to make those adjustments after the fact in public spaces and public buildings, not in privately owned buildings.
So they're given a period of time to get that affected.
Forever, and unless, if they never do a renovation to their building, they would not have to come up and meet any of the new code standards. So there are gonna be buildings all over town that don't meet, they
Their
aren't
new
sprinkled,
standard,
they don't meet ADA, they don't meet a variety of things.
And I'm not all knowing, but we went on vacation up to New York, New Hampshire, and a lot of the older historical buildings are not ADA accessible.
But they're not, and they don't have to be.
But they're not being remodeled, they're not any renovations being done.
So what is your timeline on getting these presented and?
Okay, so if our goal is to have the adoption considered in January,
January?
and then implementation in April. So giving them about 3 months to review.
These are 1 million pages we have to read by January, is that what you're saying?
You're not gonna read it all.
Hopefully I can help you with that.
Read 3 pages, which is sleep, you know, so that's not your job, that's our job.
Okay. So Richard trusts you.
Yeah, we're gonna present to you our set of ordinances adopting
Yeah.
each of these codes. And there'll be some amendments that make the code applicable to our community. That would be a process we're gonna work on in the next few months to develop.
So think of it like if we had like a stormwater engineering project one where the council's probably not going to be reviewing in detail, like all of the specific plans, but we'll be contracting with a professional firm, so here we're relying on professional staff, sort of a similar situation.
And really, we don't wanna be in the job of reviewing
Yeah.
the substance of the codes. From my point of view, the best thing we can do is have as few amendments as possible, so the city our size isn't strange to the contractors in the area, and then they're doing some work.
Yeah, but if we're further advanced than the state, are we gonna have people wanting to build?
Well, almost everyone is further advanced in the state of Kansas. right?
Oh, is that right?
Right, so Courtney, do you know, so some states adopt these codes at a statewide level. And Kansas obviously is not one of those, so it's left up to the discretion of each community to do that. And then I don't know how many, if you know roughly how many states. I think there are a handful.
There's a
Colorado,
handful of
I-
states that are run by this state. Code enforcement department, but normally. All these other cities like in Kansas, home rule or working together as a county. We enforce the codes.
So we were already at 2018 when was that 2026? Yeah.
And when I was the building official in 2012, the state wanted to have a group of men work together, or a team, men and women working together to review the 2018 codes. And it just never got adopted at the state level. It did get adopted in Johnson County, Wichita, Olathe, and throughout Kansas area, but for some reason, there's lobbyists that cause, well, it just didn't get adopted.
Yeah, part of my question was how it works between state and city, but also county, so. If you're building something in Mission, how do the county codes affect that?
So that's why we work so well with Johnson County, because we mirror the codes that they adopt.
Okay, so.
And vice versa. So that's why whenever architects or builders, they go to Johnson County and come here, they're not frustrated or upset. It's a smooth transition.
And how are the builders and the architects and the other people feeling about this particular round of codes?
I think, well, all the jurisdictions that are working together as building officials for the state of Kansas that meet, and they're all wanting to adopt the 2024. Some of the bigger cities are waiting a little bit longer because the significant changes for the energy code hasn't been published yet, but all of us are very excited about the 2024 codes because we're all in 2018. So we skipped the cycle, we need to adopt.
And that international organization that creates the code in the first place, they are also already bringing in those industry stakeholders, is that correct? So they've already been included kind of in that process, the bigger picture process.
Correct. And
Yeah.
as a city, myself and my inspector, Devin, we're working all next week. I'm going to the ICC conference and there's a whole day just on the energy code and the codes in general. And then Johnson County next week has training as regards to the energy code and the other building codes as well for the 2024 cycle. So we'll be able to provide you some really up-to-date information when we bring back the adoption.
So a couple of things just for some who haven't been through this process, as Courtney mentioned, it's at one level, the codes are updated every 3 years. Historically, the metro area has been on a 6-year cycle. But within those adoption cycles, we also have the discretion to amend things out, right? And so there has been a thought process that historically, I think in Johnson County, that we wanted to have all of these codes the same across city boundary lines because we wanted to make it easy for developers to come in and know sort of the lay of the land. We've seen that change with the conversations in recent years around the energy code. And you all have been, participated in those to some degree. I think we will see communities in Johnson County who don't adopt the energy code at 2024 energy code as it's been presented. For a variety of reasons, and they're going, like, Overland Park is a very extensive stakeholder process that they do on their own, and meeting with chambers and businesses and home builders. I think most of the conversation and discussion, and perhaps controversy might be the right word, will be around the energy codes. But I think, part of that conversation is, have we reached a point in time as it relates to building, and particularly as it relates to sustainability pieces, that we differ as communities in terms of our values and our objectives and what we want to accomplish. And so as we look at amendments and work through those things, those will be the pieces because, for example, we're on 2018 energy code. But that 2018 energy code has been stripped down and on the residential side, has had things stripped out that really make it only as efficient as the 2009 code. So what has happened over time is these amendments, I think councils have gotten more sophisticated, staffs have gotten more sophisticated in understanding what's happening. We may say we're on 2018, really when it comes to the buildings that we're building from an energy efficiency standpoint, they meet the 2009 code standards. So those are the kinds of things that as we move through these conversations and these discussions, we'll want to highlight for you and point out to you so that you're making decisions and considering amendments, that align with your goals and objectives. And to the extent that we know where other communities are, we can highlight kind of where they are or what they're considering or what we believe that will look like. But I think you will hear from some people just, in this process as we move closer to all of that.
Are you envisioning when it comes forward in January, it would be an action item, or will we have another further discussion on the substance of the codes before it would be on our agenda?
I think we can do this at whatever pace feels comfortable for you all. We know it's been an important issue, but also we, want to make sure that you have plenty of time for discussion.
I'm thinking about having discussion about some of the, stakeholder meeting feedbacks and stuff prior to the night we're supposed to be voting. Will probably be helpful.
You can take all the time you want.
Yeah, so if we want to do that, and then, I think what has been shared with me is looking at kind of a 3-month window from between adoption, Brian referenced that, adoption and implementation, so that we have a chance to educate. There are pieces of this that relate to, where the triggers might be for people who are renovating. It's because that's something that we see in our community.
I think that would be a good piece to understand. How much change does that have to be to trigger any of these pieces on the residential side in particular? And then what part of the process would someone have to be in? So if we say April 1st is the effective date, if you already submitted a preliminary development plan, are you on the old codes? If you are breaking ground, like what is that trigger for our commercial?
Since I'm still learning the process of
Okay.
submission, I would defer to Brian.
Yeah, or if you don't have an answer tonight, Brian, I would just be another good thing to know, kind of when
Yeah, it's,
it would trigger.
I think it's usually, those projects have already been approved or being built in 2018.
But
So-
approved as an all
As
the
a
way through
preliminary
the process or just
Yeah.
PDP?
You have design professionals right now that are working on a project with the intention of submitting a set of documents to the city probably in the next few months. So for us to suddenly say we're gonna adopt in 2024, it's gonna feel a little bit like moving the goalpost on, right? Now, those that are coming to us today, and I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago with a developer who wants to do a project. And I looked him in the eye and said, we're adopting 2024.
Okay.
So
So
you
we're
gotta
already
know this,
starting.
that's coming. So I think a lot of them already, a lot of the design professionals know this. Everybody's doing it, we're talking.
And we may have to have some more specific conversations around that, because I think what we've seen, particularly on projects where there may be a request for incentives, they're basing their incentive request on their estimated construction and development costs, right? If those change as a result of a variety of factors, including building codes, where does that put us in the cycle? And whether we want to change anything, but we may want to clarify that as part of our incentive policies or part of our development planning and plan review processes in terms of where we are.
Yeah, then.
Yeah, that's a good point. If we haven't figured that part out for more complicated projects, you know, codify and say, once you hit a PDP or something, we'll obligate ourselves to the code submitted here. But just to clarify, generally speaking, is somebody pulling a permit expected to go by the code ordinance and enforce when the permit is issued, or some other? Okay. So they submit some plans, you review it, and the permit.
So if they pull a permit today, it'll be 2018.
And then 5 months to inspect under that.
Yeah.
But they pulled it in April, and April 1, it would be 2024.
If they pull the building permit March 31st, it'll be on 2018. If they pull April 1st, it'll be on 2024. So,
Yeah, Debbie?
Right off the end, you know, are the codes becoming more stringent? Than past years, are they? I would think the environmental and the energy part would play a bigger role now than that has before, but are we having other standards that are more stringent?
So
yeah, right.
I can answer that in 2 ways. I'm sorry, Mike.
Go ahead.
So when we adopted the 2012, it was pretty straightforward, no problems. I mean, what you saw was what you got, and it was to the letter of the code. In 2018, they call it relaxed, a little relaxed in 2018. But it was more restrictive on commercial and engineering third parties. But for the actual residential, it was a little easier to work with. From everything that the building officials have discussed in these meetings, the 2024 code mirrors that. It's become when it's commercial, you have to have third parties because of the amount of inspections that you have. And so having that more stringent provides a better structure because you know that it's been looked at. Residential, we still have enough inspectors, myself and the inspectors, that we can review not only the plans, but also inspect the structure in a way that will, I feel it's similar to what we're doing. The energy codes, I think could be very beneficial as well. I've read through it, I've taken notes, and it's just my personal opinion, but I think there's a lot of ways for residential remodels, repairs, and additions, and that even allow you to continue to use 2x4 material instead of enlarging that for insulation. It's the commercial that really, and new homes that really are more stringent. So just
Do the building standards weigh in any on the board of zoning appeals and how they're looked at? More,
No. Probably as part of this process, we'll have to adopt or create a board of appeals for the building codes. And that's usually a board of citizens or those of contractors or working fields that are knowledgeable about the codes and construction standards. And if there's an issue or a feeling of wanting to appeal the building official's decision, they can go to that group and make the case.
just like the zoning appeals.
Correct.
No, that's everything
Any other questions before you're done?
for the next meeting.
All right, seeing none, any further information? Anyone else have?
Not this time.
I just had one question I'm sorry. So 2023 electrical code and the 2017, those are the most current versions of the codes? Yes, okay. I assumed they were, but I just wanted to get that.
A little bit different from the ICC.
Yeah, okay.
So they're outside of the family of codes then?
They sort of tag along.
Stepchildren.
Stepchildren, all right.
It's either you can adopt the ANSI standards that are in the ICC codes for ADA accessibility,
Mhm.
or you can just adopt the ADA code.
Oh, it's like a freestanding, okay, got it.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, like the residential code references the NEC all over the place, right? So it's just,
They all work together.
Yeah.
look over there,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, well, thank you. If that is all, that concludes our work session.
Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney.